Now, do y'all remember Festus Ezeli? 2012, 30th pick out of Vanderbilt, 7 foot, 245 pounds, cut in stone, the Nigerian. Not necessarily a basketball player, but a very lively body, a big physical athlete. And he was a guy that was coming along very nicely. And remember, it was that very first playoff run with Mark Jackson who had him out there dragging his knee along. And a lot of people point to that being the beginning of the knee problems for Festus Ezeli. Now, I'm not going to play the Kevin Durant thing. You know how I feel about Mark Jackson and how a lot of people feel about Mark Jackson. He does deserve some credit in certain areas as far as where the Splash Brothers in this team took off, giving them a defensive mindset, a mentality, as well as confidence, right? But he had a lot of missteps and errors, and a lot of people like to point to him playing Festus in that playoffs when he was dragging his leg around. And the reality of the situation is, just like with Kevin Durant, like, he's an adult. He chose to go out there and play. And I'll never forget that first championship in Cleveland. He had a big putback dunk in the fourth quarter. And that was kind of like when it went off in my head, like, we're winning this. We're winning this. That was that moment for me, like, yo, we're really winning this. He had a really good second half of that clinching game in Cleveland. And he started to have knee troubles after that, right? He never was really the same. He powered through. He tried to power through it and never really had surgery. He might have had some cleanups. Anyway, the Warriors moved off of him, and eventually the Portland Trailblazers signed him, but he never played one game for the Trailblazers. He actually had a cadaver put in that left knee because he ended up having surgery, probably a couple of them, and he ended up having to retire in 2018, right? Now, he's still 30 years old, and I found it very interesting that he was sitting courtside next to Joe Lacob at the Warriors-Kings game last night at Chase Center, even rang the bell before the game. I don't know where they're getting those attendance numbers, but it definitely doesn't look like a sold-out 20,000 people arena. I don't blame the fans at this point. That was an ugly one last night, but I got a full breakdown. There was some silver linings. Marquise Chris continues to sign. Jordan Poole, much more basketball athletic than I think we gave him credit for initially. He's just got to stay on balance. But anyway, that's not what this video is about. This video is about Festus Ezeli. Bob, during the telecast, brought up that he is going to try to play for the Nigerian national team in the Olympics this season, albeit if we're going to have Olympics. I don't even know, man. But he is revving his body up and trying to make a return to play for his home country in the Olympics. And I say all that to say, like, I think the Warriors are monitoring that. I don't think it's a coincidence that he was courtside next to Joe Lacob. And in today's basketball model, I think that is the modern day model, right? As you see my pup come here to give me a shoe, but it's all good. What's up, pup? Anyway, in today's modern model, you kind of platoon the center position. You don't want to pay big money to the center position. Now, I just got done talking about how impressive Marquise Chris is, and the more and more I watch him, the more I realize, like, he's probably going to be our starting center, but you have to have more than one guy, right? And guys that can kind of bring different things to the table. We don't have that true 7-foot physical banger. You look at the Lakers last night and some of these teams, you got to have that guy in reserve on the bench, even if it's in spot minutes. And so I think the Warriors are monitoring him. And if he has an impressive showing or shows that he can contribute this summer in the Olympics, at the very least, expect him to have a training camp invite to fill out that center spot on the roster next season. And I think that, one, it could help us. Again, we don't have that physical big body right now. And two, let's be honest, I think the Warriors organization owes it to Festus, who by all accounts is a great dude and really put his body on the line for us to get us that first championship. We owe it to him. If he is healthy enough to try to have this comeback, I think we give him a training spot and see if he can help contribute when we run this thing back next season. Anyway, as always, man, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all. So long as like alchemy.